Happy Wednesday. I had a heck of a day yesterday. I got to tell you a quick story. So I'm trying to gather all my mom's forms to take to her tax people that do her taxes. And I had noticed at the beginning of February, she didn't receive one of the tax forms that she needs. She has several forms. And one of them is from the government, an annuity, because my dad, retired from the Marine Corps. So she's a survivor. Anyway, she didn't receive it. So I called when I was supposed to in February and waited online for quite a while and said, my mom didn't receive her tax form, and it's like holding up being able to take it to the people who do taxes. And they're like, well, we can mail you out, another one. And so I've been waiting and it still hasn't come. But then I decided I could make her an account. And so that was a challenge. So I called up the government, the number that you call up for that. And the lady guided me through it and asked my mom a ton of questions to verify that it was really her, a lot of questions. And I had to create an email, my mom's own email, and then have her have a number that, could be authenticate that it's her email. And so finally, after, about an hour, I was able to access the account. She has now an account that I guess every 150 days you change I might be wrong about that, but you change the password. The password has to be changed. I mean, a lot of security. I think 8 security questions that we had to answer. And now I got to remember those security questions, but I wrote them down. Anyway, so I got the copy of the form that I needed. And so got it all gathered together, and she's forever. When my dad was alive, they always went to the same tax people, and I just always take it and I drop it off to them. They closed down. And I didn't know that. And so I called around and I found somebody, through the Better Business Bureau who has like an A+ rating, and that, is in a nearby community. So I thought, okay, I'll use her. So I call them and they're like, yeah, sure, bring it down. And we're going to need last year's taxes. So, of course, I'll bring last year's taxes as well. And all the forms. I could not find last year's taxes. I am searching around for last year's taxes. I find everything but last year's taxes. I find the year before last year and all the way back. I find taxes. I find paycheck stubs that my dad had from the 1960s. I found the letter when the place where my mom and dad did their taxes, but more recently where the person who had owned the place had somebody else that was running it, and then they had said they were taking over, and then that's the one who's not running it anymore. Found that paperwork from a couple of years ago, but can't find last year's taxes. So it's like, okay, this has just been stressful. So as I was looking for last year's taxes, at some point in time, I must have received from the military her tax form, because I came across that. It was sitting like in the fireplace area. I have no memory of putting it there, of receiving it in the mail. None. 0. So found that, and I reached out because I had an appointment today to bring the taxes to the place, and had told them that I can't find last year. So they're like, well, that's fine. You can just bring what you have, and when you find it, you can then bring it back to us. I'm like, okay. So it was kind of sitting on a counter right in front of me. Literally. I found them. They were there. They weren't there before. I don't know. So it was there. I found last year's taxes. So in the midst of looking for stuff, I found other stuff, and this is kind of neat. So I'll show you. Magazine from, I think where's the year? 1935. August of 1935. And what I thought was interesting is Accent on Youth. So this is about a movie classic for August 1935. Should a girl marry a man of her own age, or should she choose a more mature husband? Can a girl in her 20s find happiness with a man twice her age? Granted that May and December are mismated, but what about June and September? Millions of girls for millions of years have asked themselves these questions and attempted to answer them in their own lives. Now the question, and one of the several possible answers, have been the theme of one of the most charming screen romances of the season, Paramount's Accent on Youth. As a stage play, Accent on Youth won acclaim from the Broadway critics and tremendous popularity with the theatergoers. Opening late in 1934, it promises to continue its successful run well into the summer of 1935. Sylvia Sidney plays the screen role of the girl who comes face to face with this age-old question. She is adored by young, handsome, and athletic Philip Reed, and she is loved by the brilliant, successful, but more mature playwright Herbert Marshall. Which man shall she choose? That is the question, around which the entire plot revolves, and to answer it in print would spoil the delightful suspense which the author Samson Ralphson developed to a high degree in his original New York stage success, and which director Wesley Ruggles maintains with equal success and charm in the screenplay. In the supporting cast are such well-known players as Holmes Herbert and Ernest Costart. The latter is playing the same role on the screen as that which he created in the original Broadway stage production. And it just reminds me all this stuff about age gap relationships. This is August 1935. Age. It's just a number. Love and kisses.